Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to my supposed to be weekly series where I am trying to make a commitment to myself to get out into nature beyond the daily activities that I already have. So I apologize, I missed last week. So hopefully you all will forgive me. It was a week of snow, so I am confident it was quite beautiful out here. However, this is about a quarter of a mile walk for me, and it is a gentle slope downhill. And if you've seen this video before, you've walked with me up this kind of trail from the top of the bluff. I'm kind of middle bluff right now, down to the river and then back up. So we had a good amount of snow here in Tennessee. Um, the like Monday, Tuesday before my Friday walk. I think we had about 5 or 6 inches. So I have 15 donkeys. Most of them are miniatures or kind of um, small size standards, two full standards and um, two, three full miniatures, and then kind of a cross between the three of them. So in the wintertime, when it does get that cold, my responsibility is to them. The chickens that I have were so cold that they wouldn't even leave their little roosts in the 10 by 10 space that I have set up for them. So it was pretty, but it was also really challenging. So the thing that I have to do when it's that cold is monitor my water situation. Because I am not in an area where I have city water, I'm on a well. So over the past few years, I've had to deal with issues of freezing temperatures that get super low, blizzard like with wind and that kind of thing, and frozen pipes, or not even more disastrous than frozen pipes, like broken pipes with water spewing everywhere. That happened again in December 2022. We had 0 degrees and just kind of like blizzard um, like winds, and I had frozen pipes all over my property. The exciting thing that I was dealing with this year is making sure that all of the fixes that I did in um, kind of like insulating, and after repairing all the pipes, insulating and like identifying all those places. So yeah, so the week I've missed, basically I was kind of keeping eye on all of that. And because when the temperature goes below about 20 degrees, my water, I definitely have no water flow. So have to store a lot of water um, in warmer buildings and then carry water. So what ended up happening was actually hurt my back a little bit from carrying buckets of water across like a 5 acre property. So by the time Friday came along and I'm like, "Oh, I really want to go and see how pretty this river is," I was having a really sore back, and it was at one point like negative, feels like negative 10 or something like that. So my responsibilities with the animals kind of went from maybe 3 times a day to like 4 or 5 times a day, and I couldn't be outside for very long because it was really bitter cold. So I hope you forgive me for missing that. And last night I was thinking about how I could create an alternative Forest Friday snow video, and probably just do it without the river and kind of do it in a pretty area where like the donkeys are and the bamboo and stuff like that. But to stay consistent, I want to be doing it in the river. So after the snow, of course, we had this crazy warm up, and the past few days it's been pouring. I think it got to 60 degrees the other day, and there's so much rain that the ground is saturated and it's a giant mud pit. So again, my back, I had to find the galosh farm, authentic farmer boots that I have only used a few times. I found those. And I was just worried about walking all the way over here, about how precarious it was. So it's been raining again since last night. And one of the things that I wanted to do, so I missed Friday. Yesterday was Friday. Today is Saturday. And one of the things that I was kind of excited to do is come over here and see the water level. So you can see, if you've joined the videos before, how much water there is um, down there. So there's the island that we normally hang out on, and I don't even think, oh yeah, we can kind of see our bearing there with the log with the mushrooms on it. So you can see that the island, like both sides, are pretty full. So what I decided to do is start up here to say hello and tell you what was going on and why I missed you. I appreciate all of the views that I'm getting and building this program of disconnect to reconnect. So my kind of philosophy is, if you could, you would, right? So I used to say that a lot of times. I was working in a career that I really loved, but the surroundings and the politics of it were just killing me from the inside. The inner spirit, the soul was just being crushed. After 20 years of doing something and feeling like you're an expert in the field and not having an administration and superiors like recognizing like your value, you decide sometimes that maybe there's more to life out there. So here I am, and maybe you are saying, if you could, you would. And what are those things? I would love to hear from you if these things are kind of like gnawing at you on the inside. If you're stuck in traffic and you're frustrated with being in the car all the time, like whatever it might be, you know? And maybe in those moments where you disconnect from all of these things that we have, like everything is music and everything is piped in, and um, we're going. When those moments when you finally have like a relaxation, taking a shower or whatever it might be, your brain is like, if I could, I would rather be doing XYZ. So I'm here to encourage you to do that. And if you want some help in the process, just reach out to me. More about that coming soon as I work on my coach website and special offers for you. In any case, I decided, like I said, to start up here, and I'm going to walk down, and we're going to go to the water, and we'll walk a little bit around the water, and we'll end down there. So there's a few poems from the book that I'm currently reading. We're on the mindfulness section, and today is Saturday, the last Saturday of January 2024. We had a full moon in Leo on Thursday, and yeah, with my back, I've been like just trying to rest a lot. Um, and I also had a doctor's appointment yesterday. And my vehicle, something's wrong with my vehicle, right? So, like, all of these things that I kind of talk about, like life, when life hits you with this like tidal wave of problems, or you fall off the proverbial kayak into the class 3 or 4 or 5 rapids, and you got to just take a deep breath and relax and let these things kind of like pass over you and problem solve. So for me, one of the things was I had to get a ride yesterday um, to a doctor's appointment, take the battery out of the vehicle, put the battery in the other person's car, try and find a battery replacement. Well, replace the battery, it's not the battery. So here I am, and let's go down to the water. I'm going to turn the video around, and like I said, it's a little precarious because it has been raining. So I was just worried about like safety issues and like slipping. Um, so anyway, it's really pretty with the winter, and you can see all this stuff. So let's go for a little walk down the hill. And that way you don't have to huff and puff with me on the walk up. Yeah, and I tend to limit I've really tried to live my mantra of disconnect to reconnect. So I'm really limiting my social media. YouTube is really the only thing that I'm spending time on. Just watching other content providers and like the things they do. And I limit myself on the other socials, so like I'm only on the computer like in the mornings. And it's frustrating. Like every second or third post is an ad, or it's like people that I don't know. I don't know. When all of that social stuff first started, it really was a beautiful thing of connecting with people that from all over the country and even the world in my international travels. But now I just feel like it's a time suck, and that's the goal, right? There's a recent article in The Guardian that talks about how social media platforms have actually made their apps very addictive. And, we're spending so much time on our phones when we could be doing other things. So that's what I'm here to encourage you. And I'm going really slowly. I'm wearing galoshy boots. They're not like my normal shoes. So, yeah. And this morning I got up, it was pouring down rain. So my coat was all soaked wet. And, yeah. So anyway, it's quite lovely in the wintertime without the leaves on the trees. Like the colors are just so fantastic. Now, there's been times before in winter where we had snow and then a bunch of rain followed it. And I've been down here and the water has been up to this level right here. So right about here, where you see some of the water runoff like that, I've been down here before with the river being that high, right? So I feel like that is at least 15 feet higher than it is now. That was like flooding. Even the Tennessee River that year got flooded. So anyway, I'm just going very slow right now. One of the things that I've really tried to tell myself out here is that, I used to just kind of be gung-ho about stuff and not really pay attention to what I'm doing sometimes, kind of klutzy, like walk into doors or whatever. And now that I'm out here, I'm really very much more conscious about watching where I step, moving, living that mantra of moving slowly so that I'm aware of my surroundings. I don't have things piped into my ears because that to me is distracting. So I feel like it's important to be very aware of the environment. And it stopped raining, so I'm not really worried about flash flood here, but we won't be spending too much time. I've been talking too much already. Yeah, so anyway, normally I've been walking, you see me come out this direction, and we walk, so this is pretty cool just to kind of see how this side that we walk on does get water. And the trees over here. So let's see. I think I can go this way. Now, last time I recorded was a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling you about the term riparian that I had learned, I had heard, and then I looked it up again. I'm like, what was that word? I met a scientist who studies the riparian and was telling me there's not a whole lot of content of riparian. So this, from what I understand, is that zone. Look at the moss over there. It's so pretty green. Let's go see that. Now, up closer to the donkeys and where I live, the daffodils are starting to pop their little shoots out of the ground. So here we are in Middle Tennessee, and this area is, I've told you before, called the Western Highland Rim. So it features, you know, the limestone, and as you go up from this level, the sandstone and the chert. But without the leaves on the trees, you know, the sun does hit. So we do see ferns and moss, and the little daffodils will probably be blooming by within a couple of weeks, middle of February usually, which is kind of fun. And I've been down here before where there's daffodils in bloom, and then it snows for a night, and they get a little snow on them, and then it melts away. But yeah, let's look at how pretty bright and green. If you're inspired by colors. Okay, so we'll go over here. Let's see if I can get there. Like I said, it stopped raining, and I don't think it's going to rain again for a little bit. So let's see what this is. I'm stuck in the branches here. Okay. Yeah, so I've actually been down here before where this has been full. Water up to here of this level. So you can definitely see that water has rushed through here. So I think I'm safe at least for the next 15 minutes or so, hopefully. And here we can see this one tree with the roots that I was telling you about, how the water comes around and has deposited all these rocks and then takes it away. So let's hang out here. And I cannot get to where I usually stand, which is over that way, under the tree there. And yeah, so I'm gonna sit here and just read a couple of the short poems that are in the next section of the mindfulness. Okay. It's fun. It's fun to watch the water flow. All right. This one is Listening Deeply by Dick Allen, 1939. Born. Listening deeply. Listening deeply, sometimes in another, you can hear the sound of a hermit sighing as he climbs a mountain trail to reach a waterfall, or a Buddhist nun reciting prayers while moonlight falls through the window onto an old clay floor. And once in a while, a child rolling a hoop through the alleyways of Tokyo, laughing. Or a farmer pausing in a rice field to watch geese fly. The thoughts on his lips he doesn't think to say. I'm not sure what the microphone is catching here, but hopefully you can listen deeply to the water flowing. This short poem is by D.H. Lawrence, 1885 to 1930. It's called The White Horse. The youth walks up to the white horse to put its halter on, and the horse looks at him in silence. They are so silent they are in another world. And the last poem I'll read today is by A.R. Ammons, 1926 to 2001. It's called Clarifications. The crows, mingled powder white, arrive floundering through the heavy snowfall. They land ruffling, stark black on the spruce boughs, and chisel the neighborhood sharp with their cries. I actually watched a video this morning. I think it was on that Dodo channel. And it was a lovely lady who lives in Washington State who has crows visiting her yard. And for a while, one of the crows would go for walks with her and her dogs, or just her by herself in her neighborhood. And that crow passed away, and then another female crow has joined her for the last 5 years. I'm sure you can find it if you search YouTube for that. So if we do one of the exercises that I like to have you do and take into your kind of daily life, what are you noticing? You know, if you can spend time in nature or take a different path to your work or something that you do, you visit a friend or whatever, maybe you walk someplace or you take a different mode of transportation, something like that. So I'm noticing how the water is like knocking those two weed branch tree things right there. I'm noticing how the water changes these roots from this giant tree up here. I also encourage you to take some time to look up instead of looking down all the time. Today it's definitely a flat gray out there, but let me walk over here before we close out. Oh, and the fresh branches, the fresh parts of these trees and how pink they are. I don't know if that's coming through. So this guy's pretty much established, and then I have no idea what it is, and how all the water and the leaves get caught. So next week, I'll turn it around here.